Hey y'all, welcome back. I am currently in my car recording this episode. I brought my mic with me. Who gonna stop me? Because this is what dreams are made of. Who would have thought that you could record podcasts in your car? But I'm in my car because this is my shift of freedom. Speaking of freedom, the election was this week. I hope everyone is doing okay. I hope everyone is doing okay because you know what? God got us. God got us. Technically, this episode was to come out yesterday, but I just felt like with the elections, I don't know, I felt like the elections needed their own day, and it just felt so weird for me to be like, listen to my podcast. So here we are. I'm in the car because this is my shift of freedom. I highly suggest if you have the time or if you're able to take shifts with your partner, it will give you a little bit of sanity. We take 4-hour shifts. Sometimes, we take what we can. Sometimes they're only 2-hour shifts, but it really helps because I could get things done. I usually leave during my shift. Sometimes he'll sleep. I get it. I feel it. Today, I got to edit the podcast. I'm about to go work out. I might even go wash my hair. I might even style it. I might even do a little facial routine. I'm trying to get cute. But the shift was nice because, I just got to get some work in. And speaking of work, that's what this episode is going to be about. Working while you're pregnant. I know that for most women, that's probably the most stressful part about being pregnant and being this industry because our whole look, our whole existence is our brand. And if you show up pregnant, what's going to happen? It was interesting listening back to this episode because I could just hear myself being kind of sad. My second pregnancy, I just didn't have the peace. I could just hear it in my voice that I was like ready for it to be over. It was towards the end. Also, I realized that I talked about the one maternity agent that there is, and I realized I didn't say who it was. Expecting Models is pretty much the only pregnancy agency that there is. So check that out. And I think my yoga class is about to start. So I hope that's everything. Enjoy the episode. Yeah, get to work, ladies. Hey, hey, hey. Welcome to the Acting Like a Mom podcast. I am Alicia, your host, and we are here to shine a spotlight on the incredible and often untold stories of mothers navigating the fast-paced world of the entertainment industry. Let's get to it. All right, guys, welcome back. As you can see, we got the tummy out today. I think I'm like 34 weeks, I think, or 33. I don't know, something like that. It's interesting. On my first pregnancy, I knew the weeks and days, and this one I'm just kind of like, yeah, I'm pregnant. I'm going by months now. I know I'm 8.5, so whatever 8.5 is, that's what I am. And gosh, still out of breath, feeling like there's no space left inside. I'm feeling really good. I feel good, and that is something awesome to say because I feel like this pregnancy, I've been in this kind of like, I don't know, I really haven't been paying attention or present or any of those things with this pregnancy. It just feels like because we have been moving so fast and, we have our son now, we don't have the time to necessarily, cater to baby, whether it's like me relaxing, getting the massages, like doing all these things. Like there's just so much that has to. So I feel like I'm just like holding this, like carrying this on my back quite literally, or on my front, whatever. So I'm really excited to like feel genuinely good and happy and just joyful and excited and all the things, because I just had my baby sprinkle last weekend and it was so necessary. I didn't know I needed it, how much I needed it, because it totally kicked off the end of the pregnancy. I don't know, like it just made me feel like excited. And I don't know, sometimes it still shocks me that people are still open to celebrating me, or you know what I'm saying? Like people still showing up for me, because I don't know, I feel like I'm the one that's like, who's gonna come to my party? Just because these last 4 years I got married, and that's what bridal showers, all kinds of parties. Then I had a baby shower, baby's first birthday, and when I felt like supported and celebrated, and it reminded me to celebrate this that's happening inside of me, this little human, because people will show up for you. So I'm super excited for today because now that your girl is poking like this, you see this belly? She's working, okay? She is finally working. And I was like, you know what? That's what I should talk about. That was the thing that I was most worried about. Like, what does work look like while pregnant? And let me tell you, it looks a little different. So first things first, I always think it's funny when people find out that you're pregnant and they're like, oh yeah, you'll just book some maternity jobs. It'll be so cute. You guys, it doesn't quite work like that. Like there's not that much maternity work. And you have, look, let's go through the timeline of how this is. You find out you're pregnant and then you don't look pregnant for a couple of months. So you're trying to like rush and book these jobs, and then you get to the stage where you look like you just are bloated or gaining weight. So you're not quite your old self, but you're not quite pregnant, and nobody's trying to book the 4-month-old pregnant person for like pregnancy work, if that makes any sense, because you look just bloated. And then so you really don't start showing until like 7 months or so. So then you have like this rapido window from 7 months to 10 months, because just in case you didn't know, yes, you are pregnant for 10 months. And then that's the time when you book. That window of time is when you book, but that is also when you are dog tired, dead tired. In these last, 3 weeks, I've worked more than I have this whole pregnancy, I guess, right? Yeah. Like I've been booking a couple, and then I have this possible co-star that's going to happen in like 3 weeks. Mind you, I'm 34 weeks, so I'll be 37 weeks. So, and I really think she's coming early. I 100% think she's coming early. But now that I'm booking, I'm like, nah, you can stay in. Take your time, baby girl. Take your time. Let's get that money before we go on a break. I think that would be so great to book something like that right before. No matter how big or small, like that would really be cool to have that. I don't know. It's really cool to book these jobs because they're like free maternity shoots. Like they're free memories. I mean, not free. You're getting paid for it. So it's just like really awesome to do and share and experience with your belly and see it. And it's like, oh my gosh, I remember that. I was totally, you're in my belly. I was 8 months pregnant with you. So let's just run through this. And I just want to share like how I went through it. The most nerve-wracking part is like telling your agents. I think that was something that made me, I don't know, super nervous because how are they going to take it and all of that, and deciding when to take it because I don't know, like, do I need pictures? Do I need to show the bump? And for me, from the first to second, I did things a little bit different. I realized that because you don't look pregnant right away, there's really no reason to tell them right away. Unless you have a role or something coming up that's super physical or something that's body conscious, I feel like if something like that is coming up, you should tell them. Luckily for me, and I haven't really heard too many people who've had too many issues with their agents being mad and I also only have women agents and managers, but everyone is pretty excited. I don't, no one had anything bad to say. They were just like, yay, congrats. Okay, when do you do and all that stuff. And that was just it. I feel like I worked myself up. Like I typed this email over and over, like I am an avocado's on the way, like I was trying to be, I don't know what it was, but when I told them, it was such a relief hearing their responses because I don't know, I was really like worked up about it. But the second time, I feel like the first time I probably told them around 3 months, because 3 months is like the safe, when you're out of the scare zone, or like, you know what I'm saying, months. But this time I didn't tell them till probably closer to like 6 months because I knew it didn't really matter because nothing would change. They started sending me out like for like dance stuff and crop tops, and I was like, all right, y'all, I gotta let you know I'm pregnant. So they pulled back on that. Sometimes for auditions, I get nervous about my appearance when I'm pregnant because you're trying to hide your pregnancy until you're not trying to hide your pregnancy. And I got an audition, but it was like, you're like a cheating scene. Like I was supposed to be like in bed cheating with the gardener or something, and I had to write. I was like, y'all, I am not getting in the bed with no man and this belly. Like, no way, absolutely not. Um, so there are certain things like that, and then I had like an audition where it was like a fight scene, really physical. So I had to turn that down. But other than that, I feel like the agents were really good, and they still sent me out, and there's really no issue, I guess you could say. Oddly, I feel like because we were just in a strike and now we're trying to get it back, I think I realize now that I guess I'm not really missing out on too much. Like there's not too much going on. So that's good, I guess. The next thing is getting actual maternity work. There's really only like one maternity agency. And I think the first time I applied right away, because I was like looking, I was like, oh, I want to be ready to book when I start showing, not knowing I wasn't going to show till like super late. So I think I reached out at like 2 months, and I got signed. It's funny because, every month you have to send an update of your a bump date, basically, of how you're progressing and stuff. And I just was getting so frustrated because I was like, yo, I'm not getting any callbacks. I'm not getting anyone interested. Like, no one is interested at all. Like, time is running out. Come on. And it wasn't until I started to look like how I look right now that I started booking. And that's when I realized that no one was trying to book the 4-month, 5-month pregnant person for maternity shoots. And it was really funny looking back at the pictures where I was like 3 months, 4 months pregnant, trying to push my stomach out. And it's like, there's that pregnant, and then there's this pregnant. Like, there's no comparing. Of course, they're going to book the obviously pregnant person. So the second time, I didn't even tell her I was pregnant, I don't think, until 6 months, 7 months. And she just like put me back in the rotation, or however she does it. Cause it's interesting because she also, your agent, whoever it may be, they also only have you for 3 months. I think the first job I booked, the first pregnancy was 7 months. First job I booked this much was also 7 months. So so that gives you a 3-month window. So you're sitting there trying to like book all these jobs within the last 3 months of your pregnancy, and it's like you're the most exhausted and the most tired, and you're like just trying to hustle it out before the baby comes. So it's a lot of like, it's just very interesting, I guess, dynamic, because you're trying to hustle when you're the most exhausted, but you just kind of like do what you gotta do. And because they only have you for 3 months, it presents some like a conflict, I guess you could kind of say, with your normal agency, like your normal commercial print. Theatrical there's really no conflicts with that, because they don't send you out for stuff like that. But I mean, you already have your commercial or print agent that you're going to go back to, so you don't want to ruffle any feathers. But then there's this kind of like weird conflict because you're still repped with them, but then your maternity agent is going to be strict because they only have you for 3 months. So they don't want your other agents sending you out for pregnancy stuff, because they want it. So you really have to have just an open communication with all of your agents to kind of figure out if they're okay. Because some agents are okay with like, okay, while you're pregnant, go ahead, do your thing. And then some are like, well, you're still repped by us, so you can't, you sign contracts with these agents. So I feel like that's the only part that gets kind of murky, and it gets nerve-wracking, because it's like everyone's fighting for those couple of months, but it's also like, I need to work. Like, your girl needs to work. I can't, we got to figure this out, y'all. So there's a lot of that. Just be open, transparent, and talk to all your agents about that. And as far as the actual jobs, I would say they're mainly print jobs. That's just how it is. There's not too many commercials that I've had. It's very few, but I also feel like for commercials, they don't mind using like a fake belly. You know, like if they need a pregnant person, like they don't really care if you're pregnant or not. So anyone could really book that. But with print, it's usually for maternity brand lines, and those are usually the jobs that you're gonna book. So that's pretty much like what I book is maternity stuff. And if they like you, they bring you back, which is great because I've worked for companies the first pregnancy that I'm also working with for the second pregnancy. So that's been really nice. And another opportunity that you can have is kind of like post pregnancy, like working with your child, which I did, which I enjoyed. It was really cool because he was still with me and he was making money as well. But something I didn't know is that like the rates aren't that great, especially for your kids. Like the rate is pretty low because technically they could only work, at a certain age for like, I don't know, 2 hours. So they're like, we're not going to pay them a lot. For SAG jobs, it gets a little more complicated because once their 2 hours or however long they can work is up, like they can't be on set, but you still might have to work. So you would have to have someone come and pick them up, your husband, a friend, somebody, but they're not allowed to be on set for that long. So it adds a little bit more complications. But if it's a SAG job, they're probably paying better and it's worth it. So you'll figure it out. You'll have someone pick them up. It won't be a big deal at all whatsoever. And then sometimes, I'm not sure if this is like universal or all of them. I brought my sister with me, and you could bring whoever to kind of like just help with the baby because not all the shots they're going to want with you two. And they do have, if necessary, like a baby handler. Is that what it's called? I don't know. Someone to watch your baby while you're shooting in there. No, everyone on set for the pregnancy stuff, they're just so understanding and so nice and understanding as they can because they still have to work. So they're still like, okay, do you need a break? And then you take a break. They're like, are you ready? Like they're understanding, but they still need to get what they need to get. So I feel like it's just like, you just got to push through. It's a struggle, but it's so worth it because you just bang it out for 3 months. 3 months. Because last time, the first job I booked was in Big Bear. So I was like 7 or 8 months, almost 8 months. And I like drove to Big Bear and I was so nervous because I was like, I'm about to drive X amount of, miles to get here. But it was great. I enjoyed it. There's these things and it pushes you. Like for me, the first job I worked with my son, it was in San Diego, and I got so nervous because he was 8 weeks and I felt like such a bad mom. I had like the worst mom guilt after. I was like, why am I making my 8-week-old son work? He doesn't want to be here. He didn't make this choice. But it wasn't that serious. I think, 8 weeks, I was still like postpartum probably. Like there was just a lot going on because there was traffic on the way home. So he was crying for like most of the way, like most of the 2 hours back. We had to pull over and it was so hard for me because he was just like crying but I will say it broke him in. I hate saying that, but before we got to that point, he hated when the car stopped. So we would do like like roll up slowly to the stop sign or like to the green or to the red light just to kind of keep the car moving. But after that, he didn't really cry anymore. I feel so bad. My poor baby. Yeah, but it helped and he didn't cry in the car when we stopped as much. So I think that was a reminder that like kids are more resilient. Not saying to like put them through all kinds of things, but all in all, I feel like what to take away from this is not to stress yourself out. I say that even though I stressed myself out this whole time. And now that I'm on the other side, I'm like, oh, okay, I forgot about this. There is opportunities and there are things to do while you're pregnant. It just takes a while to get there. It's interesting because now I'm talking about this from the standpoint of now that I'm booking, again, because I feel like work, it's hard because it makes me feel like I value myself based off of how much I work when it shouldn't be that. Like, nothing should have that much power over you. You know what I'm saying? I shouldn't feel like so excited now that I'm booking. It's inevitable. Obviously, we're going to get excited, but I should be able to do that on my own with my own mind, with my own thoughts. I feel like that's something that I definitely want to work on in general, just being positive. Life is already hard. Life is already going to happen. There's no point of me like moping. It's like getting up and moving on and adjusting, because I feel like this whole journey has been just a whole bunch of adjusting my schedule, adjusting life. And that's probably what it's going to be for a while. So instead of getting in these like humblums, maybe maybe even just something as simple as finding a hobby and like following through with it and making a schedule and doing things that make you happy. I definitely feel like this podcast, it just gives me a sense of purpose, and it just gives me my voice. Like, this is my thing that I'm doing, that I'm pushing myself to do, because it gives me some of my autonomy back. Like, this is mine, and whatever that is for you, I feel like that's what you need to find while you're pregnant, because your life is about to change. Like, I'm sure my life is going to change too. It's going to change again. So I feel like finding these moments of joy that's true and honest to myself is ultimately like the ultimate finale with where I'm at right now, because life is just going to keep waving and flowing and doing all the things. So I hope that you know that. So I hope you just take it with you to just kind of, enjoy your pregnancy, appreciate your pregnancy, be grateful that your body is creating this human, and just kind of like find your why in the meantime. Take care of yourself, take care of your mind, do all the things. And then, and when a job comes up, then great, awesome. That's just icing on the cake, the cherry on top. So yeah, just enjoy the ride. Thank you so much for listening. You could have been anywhere, but you chose to be here with me. If you liked what you heard, put a ding on it. Don't forget to rate and review. And remember, motherhood is the best hood.